Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Digna.
Welcome to Relationships.
We're a couple having a few.
Last episode, as I recall, we kind of talked about how we met, and now I figured we would just go a little bit forward in time. Every episode's not going to be specifically about our relationship, because it's probably going to let you know us a lot more than we realize. We're going to give kind of an overview in the first few episodes, and once you kind of feel like you know me, then we'll just kind of give opinions about certain things or something like that. So this week, like the previous episodes, we're going to go ahead and try a beverage. So this one, we're going to actually try. I was at a brewery just the other day, and I did an interview for the other podcast, and I picked up a beer from there. So this one is called You Pick, and it's from Pareidolia Brewing, and they're down in Sebastian, Florida.
Like a You Pick farm?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You Pick, it's an ale, but it has raspberries in it.
So we can pick raspberries here?
I don't know where they pick them. Actually, I think the raspberries for this particular one might have come from somewhere out west. That's what I remember about this particular one, but I'm going to go ahead. I've got a growler. Maybe I should have poured it ahead of time. Who knows? We'll see if this is a good idea.
There are no rules.
Okay, so just looking at it right away, it does almost have like a berry color.
Don't ever eat berries that color.
Yeah, I mean, it's got like an amber color, but it kind of reminds me of that strawberry
Kind
wine
of
that
reddish hue. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the juice that comes from strawberry jelly. Ooh.
So
Definitely smells like strawberry jelly.
I think this one is sitting right around 6% alcohol. This should be something that's really drinkable. Cheers, my dear.
Cheers to 15 years, like it says on our cups.
Yeah, these are actually glasses we had made for our 15th anniversary. Our 15th anniversary was at a brewery, and we gave out glasses.
Whoop, whoop, Hell and Blazes.
Yep, Hell and Blazes, yep. So it was 15 years, so it says November 21st, 2002, and then it says, cheers to 15 years. It's nice. I'm enjoying this. It
smells significantly more like strawberry jelly than it actually tastes, which isn't a bad thing. I was expecting something very sweet and sugary, and it's not. It's really good.
That's a nice, very drinkable ale. I approve of this message. So we're going to flash forward in time. We're going to leave high school, where we were talking about... We're talking about the first time I drank. And then also we were drinking an old school beer because it was an old school time.
Unfortunately, it's not an old school beer because they still sell that stuff.
Yeah.
People drink it on purpose.
Unfortunately, people are buying it and enjoying it without, there were air quotes. We're not doing a Busch. We're doing a good craft beer this time. So we were actually going to talk about after high school. So not how I met your mother, but more of a how I courted your mother. Yeah, so I was class of 99 and Digna was class of 2000.
Oh.
Yeah, she was the first of the millennium and I was the last of the millennium. So I remember the big thing, 99, I graduated, May. The big thing as 1999 wore on, got a little bit longer and longer in the tooth. Y2K was the big thing. I know I'm really going with topics that hit the main pulse of society. So yeah, Y2K was the big thing at the time, and we actually, Did
you guys do anything for Y2K?
I was living with my grandparents at the time, and just after Christmas, so maybe we'll just say the 26th, we drove up to see my dad. He lives up in Georgia. We live in Florida. And my grandparents had to be home before Y2K hit. So we were there for like 3 days and back in the car.
Why even go? Like, you knew Y2K was coming. Why even plan a trip? It's not like maybe it was December 26th and on 1999 Facebook, someone was like, hey, did you guys know the world was going to end? And then your grandparents were like, oh no, this was like 100 years in the coming.
So maybe it was going to be like just in case we don't ever get to see you again because the world's ending. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Goodness.
I'm not sure what happened with that one. So we took our trip, our little pre-Y2K trip, and came back then. 3, 2, 1, up, nothing happened. Cool. So So that was great.
Good thing you made the drive in like the busiest part of the year.
Exactly. So I graduated high school May of 99, and right there it was August, September, whatever, when you start school. Mm-hmm. That's when I started college. I ended up getting an associate's degree in computer information systems. And
oh yeah, but hadn't you been going to college before that?
Yeah, I did some classes before that, did dual enrollment in high school, things like that. And I know we did a couple of dual enrollment classes together.
Oh, then you went to Kaiser for what, a year and change?
Yeah, so just under 2 years or so. So from like,
that's Kaiser College, now Kaiser University.
Yeah,
very fancy.
I heard, I don't know if it's true, but the way that you can go from college to university is to pick up some sort of a doctorate course, and then it becomes a university.
Doctorate of basket weaving.
That's probably something. So yeah, I went there from 99, and then January of 2001. So I was getting close. Actually, it was, I guess, probably September-ish of 2000. I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm looking for jobs. I'm still a student. I've got a lot of my classes done, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I know some guys got some jobs, and they were making, I don't know, $8 to $10 an hour, which maybe back in 2000.
So like minimum wage now?
Yeah, kind of what minimum wage is now. But they're like, yeah, we're working for, I don't know, some sort of local computer firm, and that's what they're paying. I was like, I don't know about that. I got some college debt because I took out student loans there. So, and I was like, I'm only a kid. At this point, I'm 19 years old. So I decided to join the Army so it was like around September. Actually, I decided to join the Air Force, and I went up to the MEPS station, which is like the entrance processing station. And there was one question, and it was like, do you have asthma? And I was like, nope. And then it was like, do you now, or have you ever used an asthma inhaler? Or they didn't say an asthma inhaler, they said an inhaler. And I was like, yeah, I used one when I was a kid. Exactly. Indeed. So I ended up, that medically disqualified me, apparently. So I was obviously thinking, hey, I'm going to go in the Air Force and all this kind of stuff. And they like, okay, well, you can go try to get a waiver, and it'll take like 2 weeks. So I went back, tried to get the waiver, took 2 weeks. The waiver was denied. And I was like really down at that point.
Remember, this was pre 9/11, and the military was strong, and nobody wanted to take on extra weight.
Exactly. So
in comes 2001.
So yeah, so 2001 January. So shortly after that, I'm leaving the recruiter's office. I can't get in. I'm real sad. All that stuff. And the Army guy's like, "Hey man, what are you doing? I've seen you around a couple times." That kind of stuff. I was like, "Oh, I was just trying to leave the recruiter." He's like, I can get you a waiver tomorrow. And I was like, really? He's like, and we started talking because I had college, like, and I can give you $8,000. So, long story short, I joined the Army.
No such thing.
So I actually graduated. My last class was January 26th of 2001. And I actually left for basic training. Like, I was leaving 3 days later, the 29th. So I joined January 29th. Keep in mind, Digna's exactly 1 year behind me in the journey to adulthood on the...
I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, she was a senior in high school.
No, in college. No, I had already graduated.
Yeah, you were just behind me.
Kidding.
But you were senior my first year of college.
I was mucking about in college.
Yeah, exactly. So she was just kind of a year behind me in that journey. So
yeah, but I didn't know that. I was planning on going to Hawaii. I definitely was just going to go to the University of Hawaii and learn stuff in Hawaii.
Learn Hawaii stuff.
I mean, let's be honest. The main reason I was going was because Hawaii.
I think that's...
But then it got really expensive.
I think that's the reason everybody goes to Hawaii. Not because, hey, that physics...
That job prospect is real good.
The physics program there is just amazing. Or, they have a second to none engineering school.
I think it's the University of Hawaii. I'm sure it's a great school.
I'm sure it's an amazing party school.
Nobody really needs to join that school from out of state.
PhD in
for any
waves. Yeah, so she ended up not going to University of Hawaii. I ended up joining the Army, and
darn.
This would have been January, so I went to basic training, and you do that. So by the time you're out of basic training, I feel like it was early April maybe.
Yeah, it's 9 weeks.
Yeah, so somewhere around there. We'll just say it was April. And then you do your family day. You graduate and they watch you march. And if I ever find that video anywhere, I will burn it.
Which I got to go. Joe's grandparents, who remember they needed to return to the homestead before the year 2000. They were also willing to drive up to basic training, so I got to see him graduate.
Yeah, that was kind of.
I didn't plan my outfit or anything. Wasn't important. No big deal.
No, she was looking.
They were definitely new shoes.
She was looking good, and everyone's like, "Oh man, that's your girlfriend." I was like, "Yeah, whatevs." So I went to AIT after that. So I went to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. Then AIT, which is your advanced individual training. That's where you learn your job. The job I took was similar to the computer stuff, but there was also radio, learning there. So I pretty much, a lot of it was just review. I was like, I already know this. I probably could teach the class. And went, graduated AIT. I think that was early to mid-August. No, July.
4 months?
July. Yeah, it was July. And I remember it was probably late July. Because 4th of July, I was there, and it was a Wednesday that year. Mm-hmm. So in the military, you get 4-day weekends and 3-day weekends for holidays.
Very random detail to remember.
But I remember because it was on a Wednesday, and because it was on a Wednesday, we were off that day. Like, yay! So we got to hang out on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday we still had to go back to school. That's specifically why I remember it. So I graduated, I guess, probably...
I think we had a 4th of July like that recently, in the past couple of years.
Yeah. Well, in the military, if there's a holiday on a Wednesday, you're going to have to go back to work the next day because they don't do 5-day weekends. They can do a 4-day weekend and a 3-day weekend, but 5 days is right out. And had it been on a Tuesday, then they would have given us Monday off, so we could have had a, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Right. No, sorry. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday is literally the worst day to have a holiday on for the military purposes. I graduated, we'll just say late July, maybe early August. And you can take leave or you can do what's called hometown recruiting. So I just did the hometown recruiting. I didn't want to, I don't know why I didn't want to use my leave. But I was only home for about a week and a couple of days. And what you do is you dress up in your uniform and
we didn't take leave because you essentially had off every afternoon at home. So why take leave?
It was a lot of people, they'll go back home and they do their hometown recruiting, which is 7 days of work where you help out the recruiter and just try to convince all your buddies to join. But yeah, so you do your hometown recruiting and then you go to your first duty station. But because I didn't take any leave, a lot of people do that. You have about 2 weeks of leave at that point, and a lot of people take that time. But I didn't take it, so I went straight to Korea. That was my first duty station, and I was only in Korea for a very short period of time, and that's when 9/11 happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, I joined because I wanted to pay off my college.
So like a month, maybe?
I don't even think it was a month. It had only be a couple weeks. Because I would have gotten there in late August or something like that. So yeah, 9/11 happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to war. All this stuff's gonna happen. So we had no idea exactly how it was gonna pan out. But yeah, I remember doing a lot of guard duty, and of course that time of year it starts getting colder and colder and colder. In Korea, if you've never been there, it gets cold. So you're there guarding
and we live in Florida.
Exactly. So I'm guarding a gate.
Guarding the gate.
And this gate is up on top of a hill.
Sorry, that's a Dora the Explorer reference if you have not watched children's movies recently.
So I was guarding the gate. Swiper, no swiping. And I'm guarding this gate up to the ammunition holding area. So it was just where they keep ammo inside of a mountain.
And you're what, a whopping 19?
Yeah, I was 20 at that point. I turned 20, so
a full-grown adult.
I'm 20
in charge of freezing. Ammo,
and I'm standing there with my weapon
during a wartime.
It was so bad.
Joining the military at 18 is ridiculous.
So I somehow keep in mind I'm in another part of the world, time zones, all that stuff. The phone calls were infrequent, but I know AOL Instant Messenger was a friend at that point, and somehow with me being in between AIT and being in Korea, I convinced Digna to join the army.
Was it then? When did I join? So I was in 2001.
No, I
joined in 2002.
Yeah, right? You joined exactly. You were a year behind me on everything. So you just finished up your college, and then you're like, "Hey, what am I gonna do?" And I said, "Join the army." And your dad was like, "Join the Air Force," because
well, my dad was like, "Just no to any of it." Both of my parents were like, "No." And then they came around to it and said, "We'll join the Air Force," because Dad was in the Air Force, which seems like the obvious and natural course of things, which I definitely should have listened in a way, I will say, because now that I've seen how the Air Force lives, I mean, hey, sorry, Air Force. I mean, it's just super, super easy compared to the Army. Yeah. Or maybe I'm sorry, and you feel like, hey, you're the smart ones. But either way.
I mean, years later, after we got out of the Army, I had a cousin, so he's, years younger than me, and he was thinking about joining the military. I was like, look, I was in the Army, join the Air Force. That's what I told him.
Yeah, so there was a lot of pushing and pulling and just no in general for joining the Army. But, my boyfriend's in the Army, and so that's the only thing that made sense to me at the time, which, again, joining the military when you're 18, it's the prime age for them to nab you because you just don't know any better. But, yeah, so it would have been 9/11, and I would have been still home, but I had just joined up. Actually, he convinced me to join before he went to Korea because I had already done this like delayed entry program, and I had already signed up in about August. I'd say August at the latest. So probably right after I turned 18. So it would have been right around August 2001. 9/11 happened. Less than a month later, the world is imploding, and now my parents are like, see, now you don't have to join the military. And I was like, but I do. So I finished my last semester in community college. Side note, did not pass my last class, but still walked because I had to show my family that I was walking for my diploma, as long as I promised the school that I would repeat the class the next semester, which of course I nodded my head and yes, of course I will. But little did they know I was joining the Army like post haste. I graduated in December and had set up to join in January of 2002. But, whatever. Live and learn. But I still have that, I guess, diploma holder thing. It is still empty, but I got it. And I have pictures of me in a cap and gown, and that's all that matters. But
you did go back many years later and finish that class.
Approximately, a decade later?
Close to, yeah. But she got that associate's, and then she went on and got her bachelor's.
I did. So, you can lie a little bit. It's fine. It'll work out in the end. I did my last semester. My parents were very upset that I was joining, especially because 9/11 had happened. And off I went January 14th, maybe, of 2002 to Fort Jackson. And I was there for 9 weeks, and I did that whole training, and it was really, really hella cold. And again, it was just North Carolina, but I am from Florida and also a wimp, so that was unacceptable temperatures for me.
You're not a wimp, you're Army strong.
Yeah. I was not. Did a lot of things in basic training that I thought, wow, this is dumb. But I mostly will remember my most memorable moment in basic training, aside from the gas chamber, aside from crawling through the mud and jabbing sharp objects protruding from my M16 into rubber tires and yelling, kill, 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 and weird things like that. The most memorable moment was on a field exercise in the middle of the night, and we were patrolling in our little platoon with our drill sergeant, and I don't even remember what our mission was. I think it was to deliver this thing that we were carrying to this location. And we got to the location, we put this thing down, and all of a sudden, the drill sergeant says, gas, gas, gas. Mind you, he had put us all in a circle, had us lay down on the ground and intertwine our legs so that we could tell where the other soldiers were in the dark. Those were also air quotes because he was lying, and he dropped a CS grenade in the middle of not grenade, bomb? I don't know.
I think it's a grenade. It
looks like a grenade. It's a canister. Yeah. A CS canister into the middle of our group, whose legs were all intertwined. And the idea was for you to intertwined. Intertwined it? Intertwined.
I like intertwined.
Intertwined. Our legs was intertwined. So the idea was to promptly get yourself up on your knees, get the mask out of your case, put your things down gently, get the mask out of your case, put the mask on, clear it, pick up your things that you put down, your things being one of them, your M16, which you always have to have on your person. Well, I panicked. All of the straps on my mask just immediately became intertwined. I was unable to get it onto my face. I probably could have had I actually stopped and thought for a second, but I dropped my mask. I proceeded to chuck my M16 and get up and run. Mind you, I'm choking. I can barely see. I'm having a hard time breathing, but I am full sprint running in the woods, in the dark. It didn't matter if it was dark because my eyes were closed because I couldn't freaking see.
Nothing bad could happen there.
No, I'm running, I'm tripping, I'm coughing, I'm gagging. Then I finally realized I need to crawl because I can no longer run while I can't see. And so I finally got myself out of the cloud of dust, which felt like I ran about a half a mile, but I'm sure it was no more than 25 feet away. And, just wait there basically, because I know that nothing good of this is going to happen. Or nothing's good is coming from this. And nothing good did come from it. They finally gathered us all together. Most of our unit had the mask on. They had their M16. They were, worse for wear, but
most of them didn't run blindly off into the woods.
They were still there. And there's my drill sergeant holding about 3 M16s and a handful of masks. And you could tell whose they were because we were all hangdog and very, is that the term? Hangdog? Whatever. We had our heads hung big time. And yeah, that was very embarrassing. There were a lot of push-ups. There was a lot of yelling. Something about never leave your weapon behind, yada, yada. But anyway, that was basic training. Fast forward, I graduated. My family came up. They were super proud of me, of course. Still reluctant for many good reasons. Had they known that I was doing things like chucking my M16 and running blind through the dark, they probably would have just dragged me back home.
That's not how M16s work. You don't throw those at the enemy.
Well, I mean, I didn't.
I'm going to shoot you with a grenade and I'm going to throw my gun at you.
I just let it go and ran away from it because there was no holding of anything happening. So they came to the graduation. It was a couple of days worth of, pomp and circumstance. And off I went to California, flying all the way to California, which for me was totally new. But I was in my fancy Class A green uniform and super excited to get to California to find out what language I was going to be learning because I joined to become a linguist. Turns out I got Russian, which is cool and really hard. And I didn't use it at all while I was in the Army. But that year at the Defense Language Institute, I believe it is, in Monterey, California, was pretty stinking cool. It's a beautiful location, and I definitely did not take advantage of it the way I should have because I became what's known as a barracks rat, which meant I ordered Chinese food as well as pizza repeatedly throughout the week and spent a lot of time in Starbucks and Target and went on a couple of really fun adventures, made some really great friends, but I didn't really get out into the town, into the city, into the state even. But it was fun. It was a really neat experience, and probably a good way to, I would say a good way to slow roll into the Army, except it was definitely more like college. And then when I actually got to the Army, I was confused. So I would say DLI was like the Air Force lives every day. And I lived that for a small portion of time. And then I finished my training in Texas. So I was in California for a year. I finished my training for 4 more months in Texas in the dead of summer in San Angelo, which is just bad. I was at Goodfellow Air Force Base, and it was just 4 months of desert, of hot wind blowing in your face all the time and just nothing to do, and heat, which actually transitioned to be very useful because once I got to my first duty station in Texas in, I guess, September of 2003, I definitely was just as confused as Joe was getting to Korea and being told, hey, we're having a terrorist thing happening, a 9/11, and oh crap, that was his oh crap moment. My oh crap moment was, hey, welcome to Texas. P.S. Your whole unit's not here. They're in Iraq, and here's your stuff. Bye. So within, I'd say, less than a month, I found myself making good use of that experience living in desert environments because I found myself in Kuwait and basically just living in a blow dryer. So it was not fun. There was some great
on
life
a side note, her
experiences.
hair never looked more beautiful.
Oh, it can't. Yeah, no. There were a lot of bad things happening, but there were also a lot of really great life experiences that I'm sure that I draw from daily. Can't tell you one right now, but it builds character and stuff. So yeah, that was in short the beginning of my army story and how I got to that point.
Well, we now have gotten out of high school, gotten out of college, and into the army. So we're not in the
army now.
Yeah, exactly. We were definitely in the army now at that point, starring Pauly Shore. So now we're going to go ahead and get the old pod decks out. Sorry, that didn't sound good. Let me do that. Let me actually remove it from the box completely. And we are going to pick a card. Pick a card, any card. I'll let you take the card this time. Just go ahead and pull it out, and you can read it out to us. Oh, she's pulling from the middle of the deck. Have not seen these cards, by the way.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? One thing about yourself that you could change.
Is it possible to make myself less beautiful?
I mean, there are ways.
If I could change one thing about myself, that's really a hard one.
It's really deep.
I mean, I could definitely be okay with losing a few pounds, which the good thing about that is that's actually something I could change about myself.
If you could.
Yeah, so that's an if I could. But if it's one of those things that's unchangeable, I don't know, like all the things that are kind of uniquely me, I'm kind of cool with those. Like I would think maybe my life would be a little bit easier if I was right-handed instead of left-handed, because all those desks that they have where your arm hangs over, it's really good because you can just lay your arm there and rest if you're right-handed. But if you're left-handed, your arm's just flat, your elbows flapping in the breeze. But on that same note, left-handed, I mean, it's not a super exclusive club, but a majority of people are right-handed. So I mean, other than losing a couple pounds, maybe come back to me. Maybe I'll think of something good. But I'll go with, for now, it is something I should be able to change. But yeah, I'll lose a couple of pounds.
Okay, so in that vein, in the surface stuff that we can actually change that wouldn't mind being different, I most definitely would change my hair color. And I probably will do that soon because it's looking a little rough. But that's just a very, very unimportant surface detail. Something that I would like to change that I probably can't, I'm just kidding, I absolutely can't, is just my whole joint crap going on. I've got busted joints and swollen joints and all that. So that's really fun to try to deal with, and not something I expected, and also not something that I can change, something I can adapt to as well as possible. But definitely something I can't change. So my hair color and please new joints. Thank you.
So something that I can't change that I wish I could change. Yeah, I think I'm kind of
Is it also your hair color?
I mean, you know what?
Because he will never dye it, so.
I mean, I wish that my my hair didn't start thinning out the way it has. But, I mean, I know that, you could try Rogaine and all that stuff, but I don't want to do that. So I'll just go bald semi-gracefully, But yeah, if I could magically just always have a head of hair and not have hair growing out of my ears and back and wherever it's deciding it wants to grow as I get closer to 40. So yeah, I'd be okay with that one.
Oh, also an unimportant but not truly changeable thing might be some of the details in tattoos that I have. So I don't hate my tattoos, but I would now, being who I am now, would ask for them to have been done differently if I were getting them done now for the first time. So like, yes, I can have them covered up. I can have them altered a little bit, but like the original tattoo, I'd say every single one of them, actually, I would have detailed differently now.
I say the first one that I got, I would definitely maybe not have gotten. I would have gotten something, but maybe not this exact one. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let us know what you would change about yourselves.
Hair color?
Or your color? No, it's eye color. That's the important one. That's the one people care about.
Attitude, tattoo.
So, all right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.
This has been a Getting to Know Brews presentation.
Music provided by purpleplanet.com. That's purple-planet.com.